Hello.
Hello.
And welcome back to Dreams, Memes and Veggie Supremes.
Welcome.
It feels good to be in this chair right now, back in
Does it?
the driver's seat. Oh yeah, it does. Oh, yeah,
The
it
driver's
does.
seat.
Yeah, this is the driver's seat.
Is it?
And today, we're back at Domino's. We're revisiting, we're going back to our origin story today.
Hell yeah. First podcast, first pizza. Come back to it.
Let's do it.
Alright.
Pizza time.
Right, phone view.
So what do we have here, Benji?
Oh, this is a bit of a surprise. We didn't know what we were getting. Just sent vegan margherita. Keeping it super simple.
That looks delicious, does
looks
it not?
good. Got melted cheese, got some herbs, got some tomato. Real good stuff. I'm going to rate it.
We'll be right back.
If you're not familiar with the show, at the beginning, that's what we do.
Nice. The margherita.
Pizzas?
How was it?
Margherita. Not bad. Just
It was
margherita.
It was a
margherita.
It was a pizza, alright?
It was a pizza. It was a pizza.
No, it was an alright pizza.
It was an alright pizza. I'm going to give that one a
7.
7.
Oh, look at that. Coordinated as hell.
Are you going to give it a 7 as well?
Yeah,
That was your rating,
that was my rating.
not you guessing my rating.
No, me also rating it a
How
7.
crazy is that?
We are so insane.
Wow.
Oh my lord.
It was like,
It's a margarita.
yeah, I can't
It
really
was
say
just
anything
a
else.
fine margarita.
Yeah, everything was just
Margarita
kind of
rich.
normal. Yes.
You know, it was alright.
I don't know how I'd rate it up. I don't know how I'd rate it down. I just
By the way, if you can hear a cat in the background, Ben's cat just came in.
don't worry
Ignore
about.
it.
Just don't worry about
Just
it.
ignore her.
I guess we can just jump straight into the topic then, with the margarita just being a margarita.
Just a margarita. Shocking that.
We can go into the topic today, which is the craziest cases of pseudoscience.
Extreme pseudoscience exposed.
We haven't come up with a title yet, so wherever the
I
title
think
is below.
we've just come up with this.
Have we?
Maybe.
Yours? Yeah. Okay.
We'll see.
So yeah, pretty self-explanatory. As you know, a big theme of our channel is we like to go over the various forms of pseudoscience and the topics that are covered under it, and pretty much demolish them, because I mean, misinformation
We
can
don't
be
like
very
it.
harmful, and we don't like it. And even
Not
if it's not
fair.
harmful, why lie? And if you want a cool little scenario, pretty much go in the last podcast and I speak about the porcupine analogy, and that might get brought up in this podcast or another one. Can you remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's get into it, eh?
Alright, so
topic.
first off is pretty much the reason that we wanted to do this one. There's been a study brought up about vaccines recently that Ben wanted to have a little rant about, so I'm going to hand over to him and let him just
Yep.
go crazy for
let's
a
just-
few minutes.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Get out of the chair. So Ben's killing his cat currently. So you're now back with me. So vaccines are very useful. Vaccinate yourself, vaccinate your kids, don't kill your cat, and we'll leave all this in, I'm sure.
Sorry about that. Okay. The cat is dealt with. Alright, vaccine. So, vaccines. So the main, I'm not sure if any, I think most people have heard about this, but I'm not sure if a lot of people know actually what the backing of the anti-vax movement is. So there's like a few various forms, but I think the main one is the link between vaccines and autism. I think you would probably agree there.
Yeah, good old Dr. Wakefield.
Dr. Wakefield, who had his study retracted, which showed some evidence of autism being correlated with MMR vaccine, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And so that was retracted because he found out he had some bias and he was a bit of a dodgy dude, wasn't he? Yeah. So a lot of this, that was pretty much the centre turning point. I think a lot of people have like their contentions with vaccines because it's like a scary concept.
Yeah.
Like
You're
you've got-
injecting a disease into yourself? Why would you do
sounds
that?
Crazy.
Just we've evolved with the diseases alongside us and we've been fine without them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why do you need to do that, Ben?
Well,
You're just like, oh, good point, actually.
the way vaccines work is you're introducing that disease into your body. Yeah, that's true. I'm fairly sure it's an intramuscular injection, typically. I'm not sure if it varies per vaccine.
Could do, but it doesn't really.
It doesn't really matter too much.
Same effect.
Yeah, it's essentially your body is then able to identify that disease and then deal with it. And you're pretty much training your body to eradicate those diseases, those foreign substances, those foreign diseases that are going into your body, and then your body's like, yep, I know what that is, let's get rid of it.
That's relating it to the gym. Would you rather be presented with a 200 kilo deadlift, having trained for it previously, or would you like to just be thrown at it?
That's fine.
That's pretty much what your immune system's doing, vaccines versus not being vaccinated.
And
you might be able to handle it with no vaccines, but there are going to be people like children and elderly people that aren't going to be able to do that 200 kilo deadlift.
Yeah, and the harm there is them breaking their back.
Yeah. Exactly. Just like with vaccines.
Just like with getting smallpox, it only killed 300 million people, I'm pretty sure. So pretty much what's happened recently is that this weird little link that people keep riding on, the link between vaccines and autism, it's pretty much unequivocally, not that it needed to, but it's just been absolutely smacked down with a recent study of hundreds of thousands of participants, children, have been in the study, and found absolutely no correlation between vaccines and autism. And this is one of those very, very rare cases, I think, where the sheer epidemiological study, just meaning a population-based study, really does speak volumes and just puts really the nail on the coffin. Yeah. Especially when they found, I'm not sure if there's a significant relationship the other way, but they found some sort of correlation actually going the other way. And like kids who were vaccinated had, I don't want to say like it was correlated because I'm not sure if it was significant, but it just essentially went the other way. Yeah. Because in studies a lot of the time, you can get something showing that it's increasing with something else, like a correlation, but it's actually not statistically significant.
Yeah, it could be random other things that are interacting that aren't accounted for that could be causing that. If it's significant, there's not a very high likelihood that it is caused by another thing. So it not being significant, even if there is a pattern there, and you might say, oh, but that population is 12% higher in that. If it's not significant by the statistical tests, it means that you can't say that that's causing that thing. Yeah. Even if it might look like it is, just looking at. Yeah, definitely.
The only reason I brought up that the correlation going the other way is just because I thought it was ironic. Yeah. But I know you're very well versed with statistics. I know how much he studied a lot about this topic. So that's why I'm saying you're very well versed in this area. So that's pretty much all I wanted to bring up about vaccines. Now, because this is the low-hanging fruit and like the extreme versions, I wouldn't say vaccinations are an extreme version of pseudoscience. And I kind of want to get that terminology, I guess, that vague terminology that we've kind of got for this podcast down pat.
Yeah.
Because the reason I don't say it's extreme, obviously it is still extreme, but like it's had that little bit of science behind it, even if it was like out there for only a bit and then retracted. I can see how it would mislead people. But these are the ones that we're going to be going through. I just pretty much like I've just got no basis whatsoever, essentially, and they're just those ones that you can just smack down on a day-to-day basis and have a bit of fun with it, I guess. That's what we're going to do. So the next one, I'm not sure what you've got on your list there.
We have chemtrails. So this is a good one. Pretty much a conspiracy theory, but one that's subscribed to by many.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I was going to say, like, this is almost like the conspiracy theory podcast, too.
Yeah, a lot of these have that, because a lot of pseudoscience is what fuels conspiracy theories. At the end of the day, no one's going to believe a conspiracy theory if they don't believe there's some element of truth to it, which means if it's not true, you need pseudoscience there.
And they can put it, in as science and be like, hey, look,
look at this thing on this weird, very biased website that's gonna. No, look, a scientist said so. Yep.
It's so funny, isn't it?
What is a chemtrail, Benji?
So pretty much the conspiracy theory or pseudoscience goes as this. You've probably seen them, actually, and this is one of the things. It's one of those things that are hidden in plain sight. When the planes fly and they leave those white trails behind them, they are chemtrails.
What chems are in them? What chems are in those trails?
I'll get to that in a sec, but I'm just pointing some of the other things that are behind this. So people have taken photos, and I'm not sure if there's actually any sort of validity behind this, but people take like photos and they think they form into clouds.
Clouds aren't real.
No,
is that what you're trying to say? Clouds are all man-made. Clouds didn't exist.
That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. They're saying chemtrails turn into clouds, and then that's it. And then the chemical rains down, and then gets into the water supply. And then the air, and it becomes airborne and all the rest.
Rain is water.
Yeah, it gets in the water.
Chemical is water, so water gets in the water.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm not doing it. You're making me sound like I believe in it now.
You're just like, no, because you see, if you look at the pictures and then taste the water and then see the population trends.
Yeah, but pretty much the chemical they think you put it in.
Forcing you to play devil's advocate.
That's why I don't believe it. It's they think they put a chemical in there. I always say they because who is they? And they always say they. It's like they're putting in the like who? Who's doing it? The pilots? Who are doing it?
It's not the pilots.
Oh, the government, of course. They. Just they.
No, not the
just some
government. They.
Just completely neutral entity who's
no,
just
they're what's the word? Anyway, picking up, ignoring that little stammer. No, they're malicious.
Oh.
Malicious? Is that the word I'm trying to say?
That means pretty bad.
Okay, cool. That is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
They're not neutral.
That's right.
They.
So they put this chemical in, and it's essentially to control the population. And what control means is reduce. So like people think it's making it's actually different theories because I've looked into it a bit. Some people think that it's decreasing the population. Some people think that it's decreasing people's IQ and therefore not being able to think independently and follow the norms, like the wake up sheeple kind of movement. Yeah, that's it. That's essentially the rationale behind it. Now, our pilot friend Lewis, he would be able to go on all day about this because chemtrails comes from what they actually are, which is contrails. And they say that the contrail theory is just a myth and all the rest. But it's essentially just different pressure. It's like a combination of perfect factors pretty much. But it's mainly pressure in the way that the plane moves through with obviously the humidity in the air and everything else to create those like little, essentially streaks of clouds.
Yep.
And that's what a contrail is. That's why you can see them, because they're chemicals. But yeah, essentially, I mean, no evidence. Like you can actually you could get a sample out of the air, and I think this has been done. And you could tell there's no chemicals in, and it has to go through so many levels. Obviously,
check the chemicals in the water.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
the plant only works if it gets to the drinking water as well.
That's when you're going to get to like fluoride and that kind of going into that. Yeah, there's fluoride added to water in South Australia. Yeah, I know, shock horror.
Wait, what?
I know, you can thank your perfect teeth health for that, for the fluoride in the water.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, fluoride.
But yeah, pretty much that's what it is. A lot of these things, you only have to explain them just to make them sound how crazy they are. I mean, like I said, the sheer level of the levels that this has to go through, the amount of people that this has to go through for even to be legitimate, is just ridiculous. And the how simply this can be tested is just one thing to just let you know, like, okay, this is not a thing. You didn't need to be convinced. But it's funny, there's actually an Australian chemtrail watch site.
Oh yeah.
And there's people just taking photos. And it's so sad because they're just taking photos of planes with contrails behind them every day, uploading and like putting their location of where it is. And it's just so funny.
Don't drink water if you live here.
Yeah, what is that information going to do for you anyway? Other than just like affirm your bias. Like, oh yeah, there's chemtrails everywhere. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, pretty ridiculous. So...
Next one.
That's all the justice to give that. Yeah, we're going to be smashing through these pretty quickly. So...
Alright, so...
Can I read... I can read that. Oh, yeah.
We're talking about crystals.
Oh, always a good one. Now, I really actually want to speak about this one because this is actually coming up so much. Like chemtrails, that's on its way out.
That's a tiny little...
Yeah, I feel as though there's only a very small amount of people. Like, it probably got a bit of traction, had a bit of a spike. I'm not sure how many years ago. But now it's really just a very fringe subset of people. But this crystal thing is taking off at the moment, isn't it?
It's popping.
It's popping.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, I think that's actually one of the arguments against it. it's a lucrative industry. If you see how much these crystals are going for, man.
Yeah.
If you go in these stores, like there's so many tweens like spending all of their money on
and
crystals.
adults.
And adults, yeah.
You gotta balance your negative energies with the positive vibrations that the crystals are giving out and giving to your room. So, if you're feeling bad, maybe get some purple quartzite. It might make you feel better.
You know what's so funny? You've said that right now, just completely joking. But if you actually were to speak to someone who was convinced that crystals work, they would completely agree with you.
Go,
and that's one of the things
blue quartzite, you idiot.
Yeah, it's the blue one. It's mellow. It makes
Science.
you feel mellow. And you know what? You know why that is? It's complete false jargon. It's I think there's actually a word for it, but I'm just going to say it's false jargon. So jargon is pretty much like a way of speaking about something that the lay person, a normal person, wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
So like there's medical jargon, which we fringe into sometimes because it's hard to not use jargon sometimes, and that's a really nuance in trying to explain a concept, a medical concept. But this is like false jargon, and it's like those buzzwords that you see everywhere, like vibrations, energy. Synchronicity,
vitalism.
Vitalism. I mean, this is all under the flag of vitalism, and you can explain vitalism pretty well.
Yeah. So vitalism is essentially the belief that there's some kind of organic special energy that moves through us as living beings.
Chi, also known as chi, and
ki, chakra, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty much what makes a thing living versus a thing dead.
Did someone just steal chi and call it ki, or is it just like
I think it's
the
just
pronunciation?
different cultures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But more or less, it's the same thing, same idea.
Yeah.
It's the kind of life energy that isn't real, but some people believe in it. It was a huge thing in the 1800s, actually, in the Western world. People were trying to figure out what differentiated something that was alive from something that was dead, and why there's that difference. And one of the things that they thought up was life energy, vital energy that flows through those things.
It?
Yeah,
that they come up with these things.
But,
and you know what? The way you explained it just before you went into a bit more depth, it's got an element of truth in like a lot of pseudoscience does. And if you want to find out more about like what pseudoscience is, we did our second podcast, went very into depth with that, so go check that out. Should have plugged that before, but anyway. What you said before, we have a life force. I mean, it's kind of true in the way that we have an energy flowing through us, like we have a very minute electrical energy flowing through us, obviously in our brain. But this is something like separate from that, isn't it?
Yeah,
it like extends outside of our bodies, and that's where you get
it can interact with other things in the world, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. When you're say experiencing feelings with another person, it's the two of your life energies interacting with one another, which is why you like some people and don't like others, because there's different kinds of vibrations, all that kind of thing. Like people get really in depth with it, and everyone has their like different view of it.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's no backing to it whatsoever. It's just people romanticising this idea.
Of course, yeah. And I can see why it'd be appealing for people.
Yeah.
Because like it allows you to give a very quick and applicable reason for removing people from your life.
Yeah.
Or being like thinking that you click with someone and you've got like a rationale for it. It's not like, maybe you were just in a really good mood that day, they were also in a really good mood. Like it's just like there's so many more logical explanations for why you would click with someone rather than energy.
We're in sync, dude. We're so in sync with our energies. We must have like complementary vibrations or something like that, man. So good. I feel so positive when I'm
so true. Yeah. But we went a bit off the track there because the main one is crystals, and so essentially crystals are proposed to be able to interact with that energy, that fake energy that we have.
It's saying between a rock, which doesn't have life energy, and a living thing, which does. And a crystal is said to be like something that helps a living thing interact with the world around us, and can vice versa. Yeah.
And if you just really boil it down to what a crystal is, like at the atomic level, this is when it really crumbles apart, at least for me, because there's no more reason why a crystal would interact with the energy than a hunk of metal on the street. There's no more reason why this wooden table would be interacting
metal
with
gives out negative energy, bro. Just look into your stuff.
Because it's literally just a crystal is an amalgamation of a structure of just carbon and magnesium and loads of other different elements on the periodic table. Choose your pick, and there's likely a crystal of it. And because you know what it is. You know why they just have this distinction from like a hunk of metal interacting with a crystal. It's because crystals look pretty.
Yeah, and it's because they're brilliantly marketed, to be honest.
Yeah, of course they are. I mean, they look mysterious, don't they?
The fact that someone who sells crystals has convinced people that they're magic rocks in the modern world is actually insane.
I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry if like this comes off condescending, but really like when you boil it down to what these things are, it just really does become. And they're selling you snake oil. They're literally selling you rocks, colourful rocks.
It's a magic rock that balances an energy that doesn't exist to benefit your hormones, which they don't interact with, to help assist you in being more positive in your lifestyle, which doesn't happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Next point.
Absolutely slammed.
Sorry.
It's so funny because it's been getting crazier and crazier the more I've been exposed to it. There's actually people who think putting their crystals in the moon charges them. Like, what do you mean charges them?
What's
like,
the moonbeams, isn't it?
What does the crystal like lose its charge?
Yeah,
because it gives you its charge. Like, do people even know what charge is? It's like the electrons are actually transferring from that rock into you. Is that what's happening?
Yes.
There's a reducing and oxidation going on here. Like, what's going on? But the thing is, most of these people who put out these scientific terms like charge and all of these other things, that all of this other terminology that's used around crystals, they actually have no idea. And do they know what that crystal is at an atomic level and what it actually breaks down to? Because I think if you get down to that level, then you can realise, the magical properties of this rock are proposed to be metaphysical. And I think that's where you can get a lot of people caught out with this, because a lot of people who are into crystals actually don't believe in a lot of metaphysical aspects. Yeah. Because they actually think something sciencey is going on there, I think, but there actually isn't. And then you obviously got some people who bite the bullet and just be like, yeah, I'm into metaphysics.
Yeah.
I love all that shit.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, okay.
In which case, can you prove any of what you say? Because by definition, you can't with metaphysics. Metaphysics is saying that can't be measured.
Yeah.
So why are you believing it when it's pretty much evidently saying that you can't have evidence for it? Just trust me. Just trust me.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, basis of religion too, but won't go into that.
Ooh, spicy.
Next one.
Unless so pretty much, if you want to get a crystal, do it because it looks pretty. Don't do it because it's going to balance your energies and make you a better person, because it's not. For
sure. I mean, they look cool. I mean, I've got Himalayan salt lamps.
Oh my god, what a hippie.
I know, I'm such a hippie. I get paid out for it all the time because I'm such a big critic of this, and I've got them on my room. It's just because they literally look cool.
Of course it is. Yeah.
And sorry, I know we said we were going to go off this topic, but it's so funny because it just doesn't make even more sense the deeper you go with this. When my mum bought that for me, I forgot who bought me that big one, but she pretty much got it from a health food store, which is like, sad again. But anyway, the woman said, when mine's not turned on throughout the day, I feel myself getting headaches. And so I was like, what does she mean? It's like, so when it's
probably
not
sitting in the dark and straining her eyes.
Yeah, there you go. A good explanation. And she goes, yeah, she's like, but when I have it on, it just and I'm like, wait, so it's the light that is doing
the little light bulb in there.
So, and then I looked into it, and that's what they actually think. Like, you need to have the light on for it to work.
It's refracting through the crystal, isn't it? God, man, come on.
This is how easy it is.
This is the easy stuff.
Bullshit.
You just say long words until the person buys the thing.
That's it, because no one would know any better. They would probably come up with something like that. Yeah, the light actually activates the crystal, and they go, okay, I get you.
Yeah, because the photon travelling through the crystal matrix actually refracts in a different way and interacts more with your brain chemistry than the a crystal without the light turned on.
So none of the other crystals work that way?
No, they work separately.
They just absorb
they have the life energy that transfers out, whereas the lamp crystal is different.
Lamp crystal. Okay.
Shall we move on from that?
It's too funny. The next one is
detoxing.
Is a bit more
nutrition based.
Yeah, it's a bit more towards the truth. Like, I think you've got some of these like that have a bit more truth to them.
Yeah,
like,
we've covered this before as well.
Yeah,
so we'll make this very quick. Just slam it quickly, and then we'll move on.
Yeah,
and then we'll move into the bit that we really want to slam properly.
Oh, for sure. So detoxing is pretty much what it sounds like. You're removing toxins from your body, or a lot of people say neutralizing those toxins, or taking things that make you excrete those toxins. But really, for me, my biggest quarrel is with how you define a toxin and how you defining detoxing. Because for something like antioxidants neutralizing free radicals, which is pretty much free radicals, I'll just go very, very briefly over this.
Here's an example of the jargon. Go on.
Yeah, exactly. So free radicals are everything from your environment, inside and outside, that happen to you on a day-to-day basis. And what they do, like, so for example, the sun, UV rays do this a lot. And they pretty much create very unstable molecules that will try and rip away electrons from other things in your body that need them. So your bodies need those electrons, but these free radicals are like, nah, give me one. And that affects your cells. I know, terrible. Your cells, but like, I think when it starts getting really dangerous when it starts affecting compounds like your DNA. And that's when you can get cancers, because that simple change in that DNA can then cascade in that cell, and that cell multiplies, and that's a cancer cell. So that's one of the causes of cancer, is essentially free radical harm.
Yeah.
And a lot of other diseases like Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, the list goes on. Anyway, so we have antioxidants that we produce in our body. Antioxidants mean pretty much very self-explanatory. It stops them from oxidizing. Oxidizing is that process of taking that electron. Yeah. So it's got an electron to give away. The antioxidant does, and it's like pretty much just goes up to that free radical and goes, "Hey, dude, chill out. Like, just calm down.
Have this.
Yeah,
have
stable,
this. Please.
Like, just chill out, dude. Like, have the Snickers." It's pretty much giving the free radical a Snickers, the electron. Yeah. So
you're not you when you're hungry.
Yeah, pretty much. Why are you doing this to the DNA, man? You're not yourself when you're hungry. He's a Snickers. So we produce them in our body, but then we also get them from food. So think colourful vegetables. You always see like, oh, I need my antioxidants. This has got high antioxidant content and all the rest. And so people would try and pack that in through colourful vegetables and all the rest. Anyway, sorry that was a bit long and drawn out, but pretty much that process. Yeah. Thank you. Cheers, mate. That process. You could definitely, and I probably wouldn't have, although I'll probably avoid using it, that you could define that as detoxing. If you define it as a toxin, as a negative associated compound that is having some harm on your body, then the free radicals are a perfect example of a toxin. And then if you're taking that toxic effect away, giving it a Snickers bar, you're detoxing.
What about how most people use the term
Here
detoxing?
We go. Most people, however, don't use the word detoxing correctly.
Juice cleanse.
Yeah, it's like juice, and it's just like the detoxing is rather the root of like the root bad cause of all the things that then branch off. Pretty much juice diets, silly fasts like 30-day fasts and just fasts in general with no scientific basis or no guidance with that or no real reason, medically diagnosed reason why you should do something like that, and then a multitude of other things. So a lot of people just don't want to admit that. You can do a bit from diet, like I said, like your antioxidant defense system and all the rest, and improving that. But at the end of the day, your kidneys do most of the detoxing.
As long as you have kidneys, you're detoxing.
Yeah, and all the other organs in your body, your fat, like your body is a really efficient dare I say, machine at dealing with these foreign substances, and I totally get the idea. We're exposed to way more than we have ever been. I mean, medicine is obviously increasing, but like environmental pollutants. So the air pollution is getting worse in most places, and people's diets aren't really. I feel as though we're in a bit of a change zone now, but people simply being overweight will create more free radicals in your body. And the diet that they usually have, that very high fat, high caloric diet, is coming from a lot of fried foods, which also create free radicals.
You don't have many antioxidants there.
And then that too as well. It's like the double whammy effect, going down and down again. So yeah, I can get people's worries with this, but it's always resulting in silly ways of doing it. They're trying to overcomplicate things, and then most people just fall off, and they just go back to the old shitty diet.
Yeah.
Like, rather give people the truth, the simple ways that they can change their diet, and then there'll be lifelong changes that will actually have an effect.
So what if I drink juice every day for 5 days? Will I get rid of all the toxins? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not
Oh,
saying
okay. I just wanted to double check. Just
I think your insulin would probably hate you.
so a good kind of detox thing that we wanted to just bring up quickly was colonic cleansing.
Yeah. So the reason I was going to bring it up then, like, it's the cause. So detox is the cause, juice diets, silly fasting, other kind of fasting and all the rest. Colon cleansing or colonic cleansing is one of the worst, or colonic irrigation or colon irrigation, there's a few other names.
Washing out your insides.
It's literally spraying the inside of your arse with water, I think. But pretty much to get out all of the, a lot of people just say get out all the shit. Like you are literally getting out the shit, but what they mean by shit is like
just all go for a poo.
Yeah, just go for a poo, just go for a shit. But no, people think that, I don't know what people think of their bowels or our bodies. Like we haven't evolved over thousands of years to deal with this kind of stuff. Like they think that left from that, there's like,
wow,
it's
that
just
seems
stuff
like an
trapped in
argument
there.
for vaccines. We should have evolved to deal with that, shouldn't we? Huh?
Don't get me started on this. So they pretty much think that there's stuff left over from when they have their bowel movements and other things in there. They think there's bad bacteria, but you've got to understand with bacteria, there's how many? There's it's in the billions of species of bacteria. Is it not?
Well, that we can estimate there would be.
Yeah.
Like we haven't counted that many.
No,
but
of course we
yeah,
haven't. Yeah, we're discovering them every day.
You could probably find a new species of bacteria on yourself very easily, if not multiple.
Yeah, for sure. And it's got to be understood that there's actually a number on how, and I can't think of it now, right, but it's a very high amount of number, like 90%. I sound like Donald Trump. You just I forgot the number now, but it's a very high number.
It's a very high amount of number.
It's a very high amount of number. Shut up. It's like 90%, pretty much, somewhere around there. A good bacteria, beneficial bacteria. There's only 10% that are really out there that are really in there for you. So you've got to think that this is, in a lot, it's so funny. The colon cleansing, this is a good overlap of people's contradictions. Colon cleansing is usually believed by those people who have placed such an emphasis on microbiome and like gut health and all the rest. Because gut health is becoming a huge, big contemporary issue, and like I'm totally on board with it. Like your gut and your brain communicate. I'm totally on board with all of that, or those concepts, and it's becoming increasingly more important. The research is coming out very promising.
While you're bringing up this point, do you want to kind of tie it in as well with the next thing we have written down, which is, I have written it down very eloquently as drinking your own pee-pee.
Oh shit!
Which I think ties into this.
So people are getting rid of the shit, but then drinking the piss, pretty much.
Yeah.
How do you think it ties into it?
Well, gut health and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think a lot of people drink their own piss as well, just to get the nutrients that you're getting rid of.
Yeah, which, if you're thinking about detoxing as well, like, if you think that that's a thing,
I don't want. There's so
putting
many
the thing back
after
exactly you got rid of it is...
Yeah. You know what you've got to understand, right? You've got to understand the role of your kidneys. It's pretty much cleaning your blood, creating urine, all the rest. And obviously what's going in your urine, think about that. Unwanted waste products, pretty much most of what it is. And obviously there's water in there too. And your kidneys' role is to pretty much be like, okay, what am I going to put in this urine? What am I going to put in? What am I going to keep in the blood? What am I going to put out? And so, like, for example, if you eat a lot of salt, your kidney will control how much salt you put in into your urine. It'll put more in, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, if you're not having a lot of salt and you need to carry on to it, it'll actually take it out. And it'll be like, actually you need that. And you pretty much... This happens mostly in what's called the loop of Henle in your kidney. It's a very intricate system in your kidney that pretty much controls the concentration of solutes, concentration of things that are in your blood and your urine in there. Anyway, I won't go too in depth there, but pretty much your body knows what it's doing, and if it's getting rid of stuff, you should be putting that stuff back in there. PP is one of them. You don't want to be putting back in your body. For reasons just explained.
Pee is something that your body's trying to get rid of. Poo is something that your body can get rid of by itself.
Yeah.
You don't need to drink it back or get yourself flushed out. Your body's got you.
Yeah, and I can just add with colonic cleansing, it is absolutely one of the worst things you can do, because you've got to think about how your gut microbiome, so all that beautiful bacteria that you've got in
Gorgeous.
It is gorgeous, because that's involved in so many processes. It's involved in extracting nutrients from your food, even, and dealing with those the additional breakdown of food that perhaps passes through the intestine.
Yeah, the bacteria pretty much go, all right, we'll take a little bit.
Yeah,
and then you have the rest, big man. Yeah. Keep it coming.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it justice there at all. There's a lot more benefits. But pretty much you're just getting rid of that flora that you have worked hard from your diet to produce, because it happens over the course of months. You can change it within months and even weeks. But pretty much the gut flora you have right now is pretty much because of all of the stuff that you've been feeding it. And obviously you're going to be eating that same diet, yeah, or very similar. So your gut has literally been made to deal with that stuff. So that's why you'll see, if you change your diet like you have recently, you'll get gas and bloating, because your microbiome's like, whoa, I'm not used to this. Like, perhaps it's more fiber. Like, whoa, I'm not used to this. So you need to stick with it, and then it'll get fine again. And I say this to a lot of our clients, because I usually increase their fiber intake, and they're like, well, I'm getting a bit of bloating. That's some of the only negative feedback I'll ever get. Just like in a few weeks, sometimes longer, it'll go, and it'll gradually go down as well as that bacteria starts growing, because it's being fed. There's more resources available to it. It's can be one of the the negatives of probiotics, actually. So some people have experienced weight gain on probiotics because they're actually extracting more calories from food. A lot of probiotics are based upon, will have a lot of lactobacillus in, and lactobacillus, a higher amount of lactobacillus in the gut microbiome has been correlated with weight gain, which is pretty cool. Just no.
Pretty cool.
But there's a lot of research going into the different ratios and levels of bacteria in your gut, and how that affects your health and everything else. So don't touch it. What it's doing down there, it's doing good, because it's completely tailored without you even having to do anything most of the time. Without too many hitches, it's doing its thing. You pretty much that's why antibiotics are so bad in the way you can only do you can only do so many courses in a certain amount of time, and that's one of the reasons.
If you do think you have a genuine problem, go to the doctors. Don't decide by yourself to start drinking your own piss and start going to a colonic irrigation place.
That's what a lot of these
see if that works.
Yeah.
Go to a doctor's.
They go off on a whim, don't they? They go, I just feel really sluggish and crap. You know what? I'm just gonna get all my shit washed out. In people's heads, it makes sense, and I can sympathise with that.
If people haven't heard of these things, by the way, they're going to think we're lunatics, but this does happen.
Yeah, this does happen. Yeah, and it's the same with I was telling my family the other day that you shouldn't use Q-tips and clean out your ears, even though I still do now and then because it feels so good. But you shouldn't do it because the sensitivity of your ear cavity is I can't explain it. There's actually hairs in your ears are used for the angular acceleration of your head. That's how you control where your head is in space. It's because of the hairs in your ears.
It's like when you have
jamming down a plastic Q-tip.
That's why if you have, say, an ear infection, you lose balance. That's the first sign you have an ear infection, because you suddenly got no kind of perception of what's going on with your balance.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's
it's crazy. And there's people doing that. They're sucking out their earwax. Everyone's just trying to remove all the stuff. It's like your body's just like.
Plus,
what do I do?
I'm doing my best.
It's so funny. People are just like, get rid of it, get rid of that shit, get rid of this, get rid of that. And sometimes, there is an overproduction, and usually that's because of a good. It's usually again because of a good thing, you're producing a lot of fluid. A lot of the time is to get more T cells to the area, to more immune cells to the area. Say if you've cut yourself or something like that. But people just going off on whims too much.
Yeah.
Going off on they think they're thinking logically, but really they've got no
Yeah.
background in health and medicine or anything. You know, a good rule of thumb is just always get someone who knows more than you about it, and doesn't have all the humility in doing that. You know what I mean?
Speaking of people that have no idea about health and medicine, the next thing is traditional
Ben.
medicine.
Ooh.
Specifically focusing on, say, in East Asia, where this kind of thing's huge.
Yeah, what are some of your favourite traditional Chinese medicines?
Oh, well, it's got to be rhino horn. I mean, you know, it's just
Seriously,
magic.
what do they say about rhino horn?
Cures cancer, fevers, headaches.
I have not heard this, see?
There's a long list of proposed things. It's pretty much a cure-all. The paracetamol of the East.
Yeah, I've heard tiger claw.
Tiger claw's another one. I think that's got a few more specific uses. But essentially, it's really expensive as well. But people are willing to pay for it because they think it will cure all these things.
Yeah.
It's not like the poor people, the poor commoners. It's well-educated people that believe
sure.
this thing.
Oh, without
because
doubt.
those are the people with the money.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? A lot of the time they do it in conjunction with conventional therapy. And so and then you speak to them, say if they get better, I can almost guarantee you 9 times out of 10 that person will be like, yeah, it's because of the Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
Like, seriously? Are you going to be that dishonest? Speaking about your experiences, like you know it's, yeah. It's the conventional.
One of the interesting things as well is that with rhino horn, most people don't realise it's just keratin. It's just keratin with a outer layer, and for some reason
Chewing on my nails will do the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the amount that you're actually usually able to buy is so minute, you might as well just chew on your nails for the same amount of keratin. It's the exact same product. And yet, most people don't actually
at the molecular level, it's the exact same?
Yeah, it's just keratin.
Wow.
So, I saw a survey actually the other day when I was looking into this, and when Chinese rhino horn users, like it's a hard drug, when they were told that it's just made of keratin, they said that a lot of them said they'd stop using it. More than 60% said they'd stop using it because they thought there was some kind of scientific chemical, I guess, in there that was actually the cause of any cures. They didn't realise it was just keratin.
So this is what I mean.
When they realised it was just fingernails shaped in a triangle.
It's legit, and a lot of the time that's all it needs to be said. It needs to be said in a certain way for someone to just go like, oh yeah, what I've been thinking is bullshit. Like, I don't know, it might have even convinced one of you crystal lovers out there before when we spoke about it, and been like, oh yeah, crystal is just like any other old material, like steel, anything else. Because steel has a crystalline structure a lot of the time.
There's like nothing magic there.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going back to crystals.
That's
now.
all good.
But yeah,
it's the same thing.
The other thing with Chinese medicine is pretty much in the same thing. Complementary alternative medicines, or chems, and these are products that pretty much cover Chinese medicines and beyond as well. And these are herbal remedies and all the rest, and they should never ever be used as a substitute for conventional therapy. And if that's one thing we can get through with this specific topic, it's that you, by all means, well, most of the time you can use them, and consult with your GP with them as well. If you feel as though that's something you want to do, even though they've got no evidence behind them, you can go for it. If you think that taking, I don't know, that green powdered supplement's going to do something for you, you might get a bit of antioxidant boost, but other than that, it's not going to be doing much.
Take it, but don't use it as a replacement for something that, say, has been recommended for you.
Yeah, and has actually been studied. It's had the rigorous study behind it that is necessary for these things to have such claims behind them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For example, with cancer, chemotherapy is not perfect, but for a lot of people it works. But for other people it's just not worth it. You might as well just live the rest of your life happily. You say if you've got, you're in the final stages, a lot of the time it might just be easier for you to just enjoy the last few years of your life. Obviously, depends completely on your stage. But
also depends on what you want as an individual.
Of course, I'm just saying, it's not always, because we were covering this a bit in uni about the biopsychosocial model of health that should be instilled, because a lot of people still look at it from such a biomedical model, which is just treating you as this machine, treating you as this biological machine, and you are, but it's more than that. You're
a very complicated machine.
Yeah, very complicated.
And you're part of a bigger complicated machine of the social structure as well.
Exactly, and then you were influenced by avidly every day of your life. Went way off there on a good tangent, but it was good. With chems, some of them actually interact with drugs, and so there's a main drug metabolizing enzyme that's involved in most drug metabolism. Drug metabolism just meaning that it's breaking it down, it's doing its job, and it's involved in I think 80%, and a lot of chems actually interrupt this. Even grapefruit juice actually interrupts with this enzyme, and so you need to be careful there too, to make sure that you aren't actually buggering up any medication that you possibly might be on.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
There can be some risks there too. But yeah, pretty much too many people are replacing this stuff with conventional medicine, or they're doing both, but they're giving all of the credit to Chinese medicine or chems.
Yeah.
And there's
and
a really
recommend
interesting...
it to their friends and write up their stories, and then other people will do the same.
Yeah, because even if you are in even if you're one of those people who did both, but then go and tell your friend, yeah, I did Chinese medicine and did it, and you didn't tell them perhaps that you place more emphasis on it, they might be one of the people that just goes and does alternative therapy and then doesn't do the conventional therapy if it happens to them. No one thinks about that, because everyone processes information differently. And if someone's going to be presented with that, it might be way more of a conviction to them, and they might just be like, yeah, you know what, I don't want to do the traditional route. I'm going to go for the Chinese medicine, just only. And that can literally be your death wish. It can literally be your death wish. And there was a good study, wasn't there? We actually covered it in the Pseudoscience podcast about cancer patients and who went on alternative medicine and how many years it shaved off their life. If you want to hear more about that, we actually did cover that in the second podcast. I can't remember it now.
Very interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. Pretty much shaved years off of people's lives going with alternate medicine. So it's there. Should we finish off strong?
Finish off very strong indeed.
You love this one.
I hate this one.
you love hating it.
Yeah, that's true.
I want you to absolutely smash this one now.
The last one
speak about it.
Is chiropractors, which we covered in quite a lot of depth in part 2. So if you want to hear us explain fully
the history and everything,
go there. If you just want to hear me have a quick rant, stick around.
Can I just add, just before you start though, it's so funny how big they are. Like how almost well established they are as a medical practitioner. They are in people's heads. Yeah, quote unquote, in people's heads.
Yeah.
Like everyone thinks everyone puts them next to a physio.
Yeah.
Physios are supposed to be like.
Yeah. It's should I go to a physio or a chiro? Well, one of them's actually recognised as a medical professional and the other one isn't. The other one has their field was made up by a guy who said he got visited by some kind of holy spirit in the night and then came up with the idea of manipulating the spine to solve all the world's illnesses.
Yeah, literally.
When you say it like that, suddenly chiropractic doesn't really have that much of a leg to stand on.
The psycho said it even helped for smallpox, didn't he? Or his son did.
Oh, every disease is caused by
vertebral subluxation.
That's it. Thank you. I was trying to think of the phrase, which is essentially just abnormalities in the spine, whether it's stuff like air cavities or twisting, all that kind of stuff.
I think it's important to add that though that a lot of people don't believe that these days.
Yeah.
But the people who do are called stiffs, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. But then you've got the people who are a bit more up to date and actually do use
progressive with yeah. So they're still chiropractors. They still believe in the spinal manipulation, which isn't shown to be hugely, if at all, successful in limiting anything.
Only for neck. Was it only for neck pain or only for
something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the injuries that come out of it are higher than the benefits that might be there. There's a lot of injuries and long-term injuries as well because it's spinal caused by chiropractors. The good that you get from a chiropractor is the same stuff that a physio would do. Maybe not every physio, because there are obviously going to be good chiropractors who are better at physio than some physios.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And that's, I think, where people get this kind of belief that they're on the same standing, when in fact chiropractors are a doctor of chiropractic. It's not something that's medically recognised. No. Whereas a doctor in physiotherapy has done a full medical degree.
Yeah.
And he's recognised by, who is it?
APRA. Allied Health Professionals Register Australia.
Yeah.
So APRA, yeah.
They're part of that, which is pretty much just saying...
Hey, it only applies to a short list of practitioners, and chiropractors aren't in there.
They didn't make the cut for shocking reasons based on their history.
Yeah.
So, there are good chiropractors. There are also very bad chiropractors.
And the ratio isn't looking too good. It's getting better, I reckon.
But the same is true for physios. There are bad physios, and a lot of people, I think, have experiences with those. You have like a grumpy old man who shows you a stretch and then charges you $100.
Yeah.
And that's your experience with a physio. You're going to go to a chiro. And if they even treat you nicer, and like they're going to be hands-on as well, they're doing spinal manipulation. It feels like they're doing something.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That illusion. And in those videos you see go viral on Facebook of people walking in hunched over, go in for a week, have all this cracking done, and then they walk out like a new man. It's convincing. It's super convincing. Yeah. Even for me, like I've been like, shit, like that's pretty convincing. But you've got to remember, like there's good ones, but most of them, like the if you're going to look at the evidence instead of, because that really is nothing more than a case study at best.
And they'll use it as advertisement as well. So they'll show you the manipulation of the spine that they're doing, but they won't show you the stretching exercises they're doing, which are loosening up whichever muscles are causing that hunch position and bringing them back into an upright posture, and the strict kind of routine of rotating a shot, all that kind of stuff that's really and that's what a good physio would do. So look for a good physio, basically. Yeah. Don't just settle for the first one you see and say all physios are bad. Don't even settle for the second one. If you're not satisfied with the service and how enthusiastic the person is, and if they seem to know their stuff, don't settle for them.
For sure. I think we finished off strong there with a bit of like a bit of a spicy one, because a lot of people might be like, damn, chiropractors
think that they're magic.
Some of them do. And I wonder, it would be really, really cool to know how many stiffs in Australia still exist. How many people literally think that verbal subluxation is the cause of every disease. There's got to be some in Adelaide, without a doubt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's got to be some. And like, how many people are going to them and saying that they're having a great time? It spreads through word of mouth like anything. And trying to speak to someone who has had a good experience with a chiropractor and trying to convince them otherwise is super hard to do. Yeah. Like with most of these, but I feel as though, with a chiropractic who's seeing so much of the general population now, it's so hard to get people out of that way of thinking. Because if you just look at the evidence with chiropractic, you'll see, like, shit, there should be more systematic reviews on this topic that are in support. There aren't. Yeah. There just simply aren't. There's very minor benefits for certain things. Like I said before, I think those might have been one of the most recent ones had a slight benefit for neck pain or
I think that was still shaky though.
Yeah, there was a lot of injuries, like adverse effects. Still quite a lot, but that's the thing. Yeah, like it's benefit to risk ratio, and you've got to,
pretty much you could do just about anything for a group of people, and some of them will have a benefit. If those people then go and tell their friends, and then some of those friends have a benefit, then it keeps going like that until you have a medical profession. Okay.
I'm not sure if I've got a point here on anything, or it might just be a really silly thing to say, and I've got no evidence for this either.
Always the best
way to preface something.
Yeah.
But I feel as though when someone has a bad experience with a medical practitioner or someone in the health field, the people who have the good experiences are more vocal than the ones who have the bad ones, because a lot of the time people just think they have a bad one and they're like, oh yeah, bad one, next one. There's a term for it, it's doctor shopping, right? Just doctor shopping. Whereas something with like food and going into a restaurant, you only hear the bad reviews, and I think that's because of possibly the the power structure that's there, because you see the medical professional as something else speak about university as powerful, and then the client is having not less powerful, but essentially there is dominance there. There's like a medical dominance, and the patient is is taking on the advice of
at
that.
the whim of the doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so it's almost like they don't want to be scared. They don't want to be challenging these people. And you can, like, if you feel as though you got a bad service from a physio, like you should be goddamn entitled to say you've had a bad experience there. You know what I mean? You've obviously got to have the self-awareness to know that have you been doing all of those things that you've been told to do? Have you been following that meal plan that the dietitians give you? Have you been doing everything that has been given to you? Because obviously there is a bit of personal responsibility there too. But yeah, I feel as though people might be a bit afraid because of possibly that illusion of them being the more powerful person in the situation, of speaking out about these things. But if someone says shit food at a restaurant, let everyone know.
I think another thing there is it's almost the whole underdog scenario. Like, if you go to some kind of obscure thing that's like not too common and most people don't take it seriously, and you have a positive experience there, you're going to be like,
yeah,
shit, is this the answer?
Point. Yeah,
I should
that's
tell
right.
this. All these people are going to the doctors when
such a good point.
Drinking your own pee is the real way to sort out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, pretty much, because they feel that they found the hack.
Yeah,
they're off the rails. It's that sense of like some sort of higher individuality that they've gained from that. Like I know the secret. No one else does. So that's a super good point. It's like a combo of those two.
Yeah.
It's just like getting people not being skeptical of bad services they're getting, and people being so overzealous about these weird little alternative things that are going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shall we finish up there?
Yeah, finish up there.
So, concluding point. One thing you want people to take away.
We got an AMA, but yeah, let's do that.
Oh, okay.
We've got some AMAs. Want people to take away. Question everything. Always question. Essentially, at the core of a good service or a good thing to follow, a good protocol is the best way I can put it. It should be evidence. Simple as that. And most of the time, the people who are going to be acting within the most evidence-based practice are the ones that are registered, are the ones that are out there giving the good advice. I know, yet again, GPs can be sketchy. You can get good ones, you can get bad ones. But just do a good doctor shopping, and when you get one, just stick with them.
Yeah.
Because then you know they're good, and you've got the best interest in mind. That's the best way you can go with most of these things. If you go to a health professional who's studied, who's done the time, not read a few blogs, and has made some very loose connections between a few things that they've observed in real life, whether it's chemtrails in the sky or a glowing crystal that's made them feel happier.
What the ancient Mahatma people did to cure cancer that they did with 100% success rate.
Yeah. So supposedly carved in a rock. 100%.
No, they did it. Trust me.
So do that, and put your critical thinking cap on, especially, and even when you go to those professionals as well. Also apply that same critical thinking, because you can get bad advice from even the registered ones. And don't think you have the power to speak out there as well. Wholesome way to finish it up, yeah?
Wholesome, yeah.
Sweet. Well, let's just go into AMAs real quick. There's only a few. I think there's a few good ones that we got this week. First one from our oldest client, Jordan. Why are peas awful?
Well,
you're objectively
because
wrong.
You're wrong.
That's pretty much it. Peas are high in protein, high in vitamin C, high in phytonutrients. How could they be awful? And they got a bit of a sweet taste. Yeah. Get the small baby peas instead of the garden peas if you don't like them.
That's the kind of pea you should be ingesting.
Are you single? Asking for a friend. Not going to respond.
Didn't like that joke.
What was it?
That's the kind of pea you should be ingesting.
Sorry. I can't multitask.
It's bloody.
Oh my god.
Bloody hell.
What made you go vegan?
You go first.
What made me go vegan? I guess one of the catalysts was I had a old friend who was doing it at school in year 10 some time ago now, about 6 years ago, and pretty much I was so intrigued with what I was doing. I'm like, why would you want to cut out the most delicious foods known to man on the planet? Like chicken palmy. How could you eliminate that? Still have chicken palmies, by the way. Vegan ones, obviously. But I pretty much wanted to know why anyone would want to do this. He didn't give me an answer, and it's good because I'm the type of person who will search something. And I did that, and I found a documentary called Earthlings. Obviously, there's a lot of lead up there, but the turning point was Earthlings, and that was pretty much showing me the way animals were treated in the industry, in the various industries, but then obviously saw the food industry as well as the clothing industry and a few others that you have the power, individual power, to not support with your dollar. Because that's what veganism is based upon, is supply and demand. You're not contributing to the demand, and then thus you're not contributing to the supply. That's at the centre there. So that was pretty much it. It's purely ethical for me. The environment and the health are just additional benefits on top. If they didn't exist, if there was no health benefits and there was no environmental benefits, I would still do it because of the ethical reason. I don't think, sentient life that is available, as able of experiencing suffering and pain and suffering. Why wouldn't you want to avoid that? That's my.
And we went over a lot of those factors in the very first episode of the podcast, which was veganism and reason, I believe we called it, which was pretty much the logical reasons how we would argue for veganism and why we are
from
vegan.
all standpoints. Yeah, but that's the most concise answer I could give.
Yeah, I was vegetarian for a long time as a child. I believe when I say child, I mean like 12 until I was 16, I think. Maybe a little bit before that, maybe 10 to 14, something like that.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
So for a decent chunk of time as well, and I did it because, I liked animals and didn't want to eat them. I didn't really have any logic behind why I shouldn't and that kind of thing, which meant whenever someone asked me, I struggled to defend myself. And eventually, when I was about 14 or so, I went, what am I doing? I'm not making a really big difference at all. Like, how could I be? I'm just one dude. Just like one little kid stopping eating meat while all my friends are eating meat around me and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But when you started getting interested in it, you weren't vegan yet. No. But you were interested in it. And you were interested...
week or two, weren't there? Like a lead up.
You're interested in because we used to drive to school together every day, so we had time to chat about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you would, because you knew I used to be vegetarian, you would bounce ideas off me. And I would usually try and play devil's advocate and argue against whatever points you were saying, because, that's a good way to test a point for how solid it is to try and argue against it yourself. And eventually, and then you went vegan shortly after that. Then a couple months later, I'd pretty much secretly decided to myself I was going to go vegan at the end of the year after year 12 was done. And I just kind of kept questioning you and putting stuff like that into...
It's like reversed then, didn't it, a bit?
What do you mean?
Because I was giving the counterpoints to you to vegetarianism, and you were playing devil's advocate towards me. And then obviously when I went vegan, you were like, "Oh, but what about this?" And then I was
because ultimately by the time you went vegan, I knew that I pretty much about the time you went vegan, I decided I would at the end of the year because I couldn't really argue against it too strongly. Any little argument there was pretty insignificant compared to the big. So, and then about halfway through the year, I decided to try and go vegan for a week to see how it would be, because I didn't really know how to cook or anything and all that kind of stuff. So I went vegan for a week, and that week has continued until today.
Pretty damn long week.
Just never stopped.
Pretty damn long week.
The longest week of my life.
Yeah. You just found it too easy then.
Yeah, well, I was just like, oh, that's alright.
Beans on toast exists? What?
Every meal? To put it into perspective, when I went vegan, the only meal I knew how to cook, I knew how to cook 2 meals. One of them was scrambled egg, and the other one was omelettes. So I wasn't in the best position to go vegan.
That's crazy.
But that week, I learned how to cook 2 recipes. And then the week after that, I learned how to cook
those little benefits of veganism. It gets you to experiment.
Gets easier and easier.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it gets you to experiment more with with different food. And I know that's such a small point, but anyway, you go outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers it, Dale. Thanks for that question, mate. That was a good one. Yeah, we love speaking about veganism, and I think we're gonna do another podcast on it soon.
For sure.
We'd love to actually get a non-vegan on one day and have a little discussion with him, because we love we love the idea of speaking with people who disagree with us and having a good discussion, because like good discussion is literally, you know. Anyway, have you been tanning? Thanks,
Yes.
bro. I have.
Oh,
I've been in the
you're
solarium. I've been in the tanning beds anyway, getting a tan. I haven't.
Yeah,
It was just on the Instagram video that I put up asking for questions.
Oh, it's just the lighting.
It's just
fake.
good lighting, bro. It's just all orange.
Can you edit us for us? Oh wait, no, don't worry, because this is a podcast as well. Ignore that.
We had a question about karate from Lewis, but
we more or less covered that when we were talking about chi. And he was pretty much asking because in martial arts, especially historically, there was a lot of focus on stuff like chi and ki, whatever region you're from, whatever you want to call it. He was pretty much just asking if we could cover that, so we sorted that out during the podcast.
Oh, that's it. That concludes the AMAs, then, I believe. I'm sorry if we've missed any, but we're gonna make sure you keep sending through. You can send through about anything. As you can see, then we just answered one about veganism, had nothing to do with today's topic. Although some people like to argue veganism is a pseudoscience sometimes. Is it? There's some dishonesty sometimes in the vegan community, but we'll give that for another podcast.
Wow, that's for next time.
But yeah, thank you for tuning in yet again to another episode of Dreams, Veggie Supremes.
Hope you enjoyed.
We love being in these seats, and we love producing this content for you. So make sure you let us know what we can improve, give us some feedback, and get some discussion going as well. We love discussion, as you can probably tell. And now we're going to shut up and let you do whatever you've got on for the rest of the day.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much, guys. Until next time.